The conference hall smelled like recycled air and desperation. Quite fitting, really, considering what was about to happen. I watched the human, this bizarre creature called Marcus Webb, shuffle toward the circular platform at the center of the amphitheater. He moved with that peculiar gait all humans possessed, like gravity was constantly surprising him. The other delegates, 300 strong representing 72 species, leaned forward in their bio-suited seats. Some with curiosity. Most with poorly concealed contempt. You see, humans had just been discovered 6 cycles ago. 6 cycles. We Korvathi had been exploring the stars for 12,000 years. The Millephen Empire? 20,000. And here came these hairless apes, stumbling into galactic society like drunken toddlers who had just learned to walk. Presenting the Terran delegation, announced Prex Millian, the Vexorian moderator whose voice sounded like gravel being chewed by metal teeth. Here to petition for inclusion in the Galactic Agricultural Compact. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not polite chuckles either. Full-throated, mocking guffaws. Marcus reached the platform. He stood there, barely 2 meters tall, dressed in what humans called a suit. Black fabric, primitive stitching, a strip of colored cloth knotted around his neck. Adorable, in a pathetic sort of way. Thank you for this opportunity, Marcus began. His voice carried surprisingly well despite lacking the resonance modulators most civilized species employed. Earth would like to contribute to the Compact's food distribution network. We believe our agricultural methods could. Agricultural methods? Threxus Gon, the Zenthari representative, interrupted. His mandibles clicked with amusement. Your species consumes deceased flesh. You are predators pretending to be civilized. More laughter. Louder this time. I settled deeper into my seat, my photosynthetic skin panels drinking in the overhead lights. This was going exactly as predicted. Humans were omnivores, yes, but they leaned heavily carnivorous. Disgusting, really. The thought of deliberately ending another creature's life, cooking its flesh over open flames, and then consuming it? Barbaric. Marcus's face did that thing human faces did when they were upset. The skin around his eyes tightened. His jaw muscles flexed. But his voice remained steady. We eat both plant and animal matter, yes. But we also plant-fed prey, someone shouted from the upper tiers. I couldn't see who. That is all you are. Prey species that occasionally remembers it has teeth. The chamber erupted. Delegates stood, waving appendages and sensory organs, shouting insults in 17 different languages. The universal translators worked overtime, pumping out a symphony of mockery directly into everyone's auditory processors. Marcus stood silent through it all. Just standing there. Waiting. That should have been my first warning. Prex Millian called for order, his gravelly voice cutting through the chaos. Delegates. Please. Let the human finish. The noise subsided to hostile murmuring. Thank you, Marcus said again. His lips curved upward at the corners. Humans called this a smile, though I had learned it could mean many things. This particular smile made my chlorophyll run cold. I understand your concerns. Really, I do. You look at us and see violent primitives. Death Eaters. Predators. Because that is what you are. Threxus Gon clicked. Maybe, Marcus agreed. He reached into his suit jacket, and every security system in the room activated simultaneously. Shields flickered to life. Weapons charged. Guards stepped forward. Marcus pulled out a small rectangular device. It's just a data pad, he said calmly, holding it up. May I? Prex Millian's scanner swept over it. Permitted. Proceed. Marcus tapped the device. The amphitheater's central holodisplay activated, showing an image that made several delegates recoil. It was a piece of cooked animal flesh, charred and glistening, surrounded by plant matter. Human food. This is a steak, Marcus said conversationally. Beef, specifically. From a cow. We raise them, care for them, and yes, eventually we eat them. It's served here with potatoes, which we grow, and asparagus, also grown. With butter made from milk, which comes from cows we don't kill. Revolting, someone shouted. Is it though? Marcus's smile widened. He tapped again. New images flooded the display. These are human agricultural yields per hectare over the past century. These are our food distribution networks. These are our caloric output ratios. And this right here. He paused, letting the numbers sink in. This is how many people we feed. 8 billion. On one planet. Using less than 40% of our arable land. The chamber went quiet. Numbers didn't lie. The compact struggled to feed half that many across 15 worlds. Impossible, Threxus Gon whispered. Oh, it gets better, Marcus said. That smile never wavered. You want to know why humans are so efficient at agriculture? I'll tell you. It's because we understand something you've all forgotten. He leaned forward slightly, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped. We remember that life is brutal. That survival isn't a gift, it's a fight. Every single day. The holo display changed again. This time it showed Earth. Their homeworld. Beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. You want to mock us for eating meat? Fine. But let me tell you something about the species you're so quick to dismiss. His voice grew harder. Sharper. Humans survived ice ages. We crossed oceans on wooden rafts. We climbed mountains because they were there. We split the atom, walked on our moon, and reached for the stars not because it was easy, but because we refused to accept limits. The display shifted to human history. Wars. Plagues. Disasters. And humans, always humans, rebuilding afterward. You call us prey? We are the species that looked at wolves, the apex predators of our world, and said come here, be our friends. And you know what? They did. We turned predators into companions through nothing but persistence and meat scraps. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. So yes, we eat meat. We cook it over fire because we learned to control fire before we invented writing. We season it with plants we cultivated from weeds. And we do all of this because somewhere in our evolution, we learned the most important lesson any species can learn. He paused, eyes sweeping across the chamber. Adaptation isn't about choosing one path. It's about choosing every path available and making them all work. The silence stretched. Nobody laughed now. Now, Marcus said softly, would you like to hear about our vertical farming techniques, or should I continue explaining why underestimating humans is a really, really bad idea? I watched Threxus Gon's mandibles stop clicking. Watched the Millifen delegation exchange worried glances. Watched 300 species simultaneously realize they might have made a terrible mistake. And Marcus Webb just stood there, smiling like a predator who had just cornered his prey. The silence lasted exactly 4.3 seconds. I counted. Then Prex Million did something I had never seen in 40 years of diplomatic service. He laughed. Not the mocking kind from before. This was different. Genuine. Almost respectful. Well then, the Vexorian said, his gravel voice somehow lighter. Perhaps we should hear about these vertical farming techniques. Marcus nodded, his predator smile softening into something almost friendly. Almost. Gladly. But first, let me address the real concern in this room. He gestured to the assembly. You don't trust us because we kill to eat. You think it makes us violent. Unstable. Dangerous. Does it not? I heard myself ask. The words escaped before I could stop them. 300 pairs of eyes, stalks, sensors, and optical organs swiveled toward me. My skin flushed deep green with embarrassment. Korvathi did not interrupt. We observed. We photosynthesized. We stayed quiet. Marcus found me in the crowd. His eyes locked onto mine, and I felt something primal stir in my genetic memory. Something that whispered, "Run." "What's your name?" he asked. "Varric's home," I managed. "Varric's. Good question. Let me answer it with a question of my own." He tapped his data pad. The display shifted to show a Korvathi farming collective. My farming collective. I recognized the crystal gardens, the light arrays, the peaceful green fields where my people grew in perfect harmony. How did he get that image? "Your people have been at peace for 8,000 years, Marcus said. No wars. No conflicts. You resolve disputes through meditation and consensus. Beautiful, really. I mean that. I nodded slowly, unsure where this was going. In those 8,000 years, how many times has your civilization almost collapsed? The question hit like a physical blow. Twice, I admitted. The blight of 7th era and the light failure 3,000 years ago. Right. Both times, you were saved by other species in the compact bringing you supplies. Food. Resources. Technology. Marcus's expression remained neutral. Now let me show you something else. The display changed to Earth again. This time showing human cities. Massive. Sprawling. Chaotic. Humans have had civilization for roughly 12,000 years. In that time, we have faced 743 major catastrophes. Plagues that killed half our population. Famines that starved millions. Wars that burned continents. Volcanic eruptions. Asteroid impacts. Climate collapse. We even poisoned our own atmosphere twice. He let that sink in. And yet here we are. Never saved by anyone. Never given a hand up. We clawed our way back every single time through sheer bloody-minded stubbornness. You want to know why? Threxus Gon's mandibles clicked softly. Why? Because when you are a predator, you learn to solve problems. When you are prey, you learn to run from them. And when you are both, like humans are, you learn to do whatever it takes to survive. Marcus began walking along the platform's edge, addressing different sections of the chamber as he moved. You look at our meat-eating and see savagery. We look at it and see the fuel that built our intelligence. Do you know how energy expensive a brain is? Ours especially? We needed dense calories. Meat provided that. It allowed our ancestors to spend less time grazing and more time thinking. Creating. Innovating. He stopped, turning to face the Milifen delegation. But we also learned agriculture. We domesticated grain. We selective bred vegetables until they barely resembled their wild ancestors. We created irrigation systems 4,000 years before we created computers. We understood that relying on hunting alone was stupid. So we didn't. A Vrellan delegate, her crystalline form chiming softly, spoke up. You speak of adaptation, but what you describe sounds like exploitation. Of animals. Of plants. Of your entire world. Exploitation? Marcus tilted his head. Or partnership? We take care of our crops. We defend them from pests. We breed them to be stronger, more nutritious. We give them the best possible conditions to grow. In return, they feed us. Same with livestock. We protect them. House them. Heal them when sick. And yes, eventually we eat them. But while they live well. You are justifying murder, Threxus Gon said, but his voice lacked its earlier conviction. No. I am explaining survival. There is a difference. Marcus returned to the center of the platform. Let me be very clear about something. Humans do not enjoy killing. It is not recreational for us. Every culture on Earth has rituals around it. Prayers. Moments of silence. Thanks given to the animal for its sacrifice. We understand the weight of taking a life. He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was quieter. Heavier. We understand it because we have had to do it. For food. For protection. For survival. And that understanding, that intimate knowledge of what death means, makes us cherish life more than you can possibly imagine. The holodisplay shifted one final time. It showed human hospitals. Schools. Parks filled with children. Elderly humans being cared for with dignity. Animals in shelters being adopted into loving homes. We fight so hard to preserve life because we know how fragile it is. We innovate because we know resources run out. We plan for disasters because we have survived disasters. Everything you see as weakness is actually our greatest strength. Pretty words, someone muttered from the upper tiers. Marcus's smile returned. Sharp again. Dangerous. Pretty words backed by results. Since joining the galactic community 6 cycles ago, we have already solved 3 problems your scientists said were impossible. We fixed the Corellian water purification crisis. We optimized the Zenthary fuel ratios by 18%. We taught the Vrelin how to grow crops in half the time using techniques we developed 300 years ago. He was right. I had read the reports. Dismissed them as luck. But standing here now, watching this human command a room of species that should have been his superiors, I realized the truth. We had not discovered humans. They had allowed us to discover them. There was a difference. So here is my proposal, Marcus said. Earth joins the Agricultural Compact. We share our techniques. Our knowledge. Our 8 billion success story. In return, you stop treating us like amusing primitives and start treating us like the survivors we are. Prex Million leaned forward. And if we refuse? Marcus shrugged. Then we take our innovations elsewhere. I am sure the Outer Rim colonies would love to triple their crop yields. The frontier world struggling with food shortages would probably appreciate our help too. It was a threat. Polite. Professional. But absolutely a threat. We should put this to a vote, Threxus Gon said quietly. All in favor of accepting Earth's petition? I watched hands, tentacles, appendages, and energy fields rise throughout the chamber. Slowly at first. Then faster. Within seconds, it was unanimous. Marcus bowed slightly. Thank you. You will not regret this decision. As the assembly dissolved into excited chatter, as delegates rushed forward to speak with the human, as everything changed in ways we did not yet understand, I sat in my seat and felt the weight of history shifting. We had mocked them as plant-fed prey. Called them Death Eaters. Savages. And Marcus Webb had answered with nothing but truth, wrapped in fire-cooked confidence. The human made his way through the crowd, shaking appendages, accepting congratulations. But as he passed my section, he glanced up. Caught my eye. And winked. That is when I knew for certain. Humans were not prey. They were not even predators. They were something far more terrifying. They were both. And they were just getting started. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting sci-fi and HFY stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.